infection has spread really bad. You know what? I think I'm just gonna try to destroy this thing before. Holy frick, I don't think I can destroy it. Hey, this is Chris. Hopefully everyone is having an awesome day, and welcome back to the Mod Showcase, where today we're showcasing the Scape and Run Parasites mod for 1.12.2, and it's a mod that adds a bunch of parasites, and these parasites are terrifying creatures that have really awesome abilities, and these parasites will slowly try to take over your world. So let's get started with the early phases of the infection, also known as Phase 0. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm not at the Phoenix space because I did not want to spread the parasites there. But anyway, let's start off with our first parasite, which is the first one to spawn in your world, and that is the buglids. So the buglids are these pathetic guys right here, and they can easily be killed with fire. So we're just gonna set them on fire, and now he's gonna slowly die, and the fire won't work for other stronger parasites that you'll see later on. And now we're just gonna move on to that guy over there, which is the Rupter. So the Rupters are cowards once you start out at the early phases, and they'll just immediately run away. And don't worry, he'll eventually attack you. Actually, I don't think that's a good thing. And now, so they can stop running away, I have gone into creative, and now I'm just gonna spawn a cow. I'm gonna spawn a Rupter right here, and the Rupter will apply an effect called Call of the Hive. So here we go. So these are the particles for Call of the Hive, and now this cow is an undercover parasite, and I'll tell you what I mean later on in the showcase. Now, at phase 2 of the infection or above, things start getting interesting. So now they're gonna actually start attacking things. So we're just gonna spawn another one of these Rupters over here, spawn a cow, and now it should start attacking them, turning them straight into parasite. And yes, this is the Assimilated Parasite, and it's gonna go undercover again in a little while, and it also attacks villagers and even hostile mobs. So that means that they attack absolutely everything, and you better run Trioris. And one more thing about the Rupters is they actually do jump, so you better be careful if you're in creative, and I mean in survival. So now let's talk about the Assimilated Mobs, and currently this cow is gonna turn into the Assimilated Mob, and holy frick, dude, just stop poisoning. And yes, by the way, you will get something called the Call of the Hive, which means if you die, you're gonna turn into a parasite. So let's actually do that. So dude, come over here, attack me. You know what, I'm just gonna ignore it. So let's just spawn a bunch of Rupters, and they should all start attacking me, and holy frick, okay, so here we go. So they're gonna try to kill me, and now we should be killed by them and spawn somewhere else. So here is what Call of the Hive does, and it has these guys which can even pick up your armor, and that is, oh no, actually, you know what, I'm a little bit terrified. I am probably not gonna sleep tonight. So now that our cow has been baking with the parasite infection, we're gonna talk about the Assimilated Mobs. So first, we're just gonna kill this cow earlier because I want to show you guys what happens if you kill them too early. So we're just gonna hit this cow, and it's gonna transform into an incomplete form. And holy frick, okay, you know what, I don't know why all my hairs of my body stood up. I don't know why, but that thing is freaking terrifying. So this cow should be well done. So we're just gonna hit him once, and he's gonna turn into his full form, which is this guy right here. So you can no longer trust any cows you see, or absolutely any other mobs. And the Assimilated Parasites and other parasites you're about to see will only attack specific mobs. So here we're just gonna place down a zombie, and it's gonna attack it because it's a hostile mob, and now it'll turn into one of these ugly things. And now during phase 5, all the parasites are gonna start attacking villagers. So we're just gonna place down a villager right here, and he's gonna get chased. And just look at their freaking models and animation, they look freaking insane. And now I'm gonna spawn an Enderman since it's a neutral mob, and just look at them go after the Enderman. And holy frick, the Enderman died. You know what, I'm just gonna place down another one so he can be turned into a parasite. And now he has been turned into a parasite, and just look at how terrifying this thing is. This is the most horrifying thing to ever exist, and also it's extremely overpowered. And if you were wondering, they don't actually attack passive mobs. If only the villager was a cow, he wouldn't have died. And before we move on, this is one of my favorite but scariest ones. The polar bear literally turns into this abomination over here. And now before we move on, you should know that at phase 5, they no longer use disguises, so they will never put on the disguise from that point onwards. But it does all take a long time for them to actually get to that point. And by the way, yes, some of these do have nasty surprises like this. So this guy just decided to drop a bunch of, you know what, I forgot their name. So yeah, the Beckons. And here's another surprise they have. So some of these assimilated mobs will drop their head like this. And yeah, I should probably put a warning for the rest of the video, but just look at it. It looks so terrifying. And yes, if you were wondering, they do attack you. So actually, I don't know where the frick this guy is going. All right, dude, are you even interested? I think it's scared of me. So now let's talk about the merge system, and things are gonna get insane from here on out. So let's just spawn in a bunch of assimilated mobs, and now let's make them attack things. So we're just gonna make them attack a few zombies. So here we go. So they have been attacking zombies, and we're just gonna make them attack more zombies. And eventually, they should turn into something called moving flesh, which takes a while for it to happen. So we're just gonna get them to keep killing and killing and killing until they get to that threshold. So yeah, it's a lot of chaos, and let's make this happen. So here we go. So they're becoming moving flesh. And wait, did I just say moving flesh? All right, so yeah, they're gonna turn into these blobs. They're gonna unite and turn into a new type of parasite. So yeah, dudes, go into each other. Yeah, that's the weirdest thing I've ever said. Now it's so large, it's gonna literally explode, and it's gonna turn into a random primitive mob. Just look at how freaking terrifying this thing looks. And yes, eventually they look a tiny bit less terrifying, but still intimidating. And what I mean is, yeah, they won't actually have any blood on them once they evolve into their true forms, which we're gonna get into right now. And since all of the other mobs I'm about to show have special abilities, I'm gonna go over absolutely every single one of them. Now let's talk about the primitive parasites and their adapted forms. And before we fight each one of them, here's some information you should know about every single parasite you're about to see. And that is, they have something called adaptation. So adaptation means they'll get used to certain types of damages, and they'll slowly start taking less and less damage. And by the way, the primitive parasites are a little bit weaker to this, and now this guy has some red particles, and that means he has gained some adaptation points. And now we're just gonna blow him up with TNT so he can adapt to a second type of damage. And once this primitive parasite adapts to a second type of damage, he will no longer adapt to other types of damages. So we're just gonna hit him with a sword, and now he's no longer gaining any adaptation points. And by the way, something they can't adapt to is being suffocated by a block or falling into the void. So now I'm gonna show you how primitive mobs can turn into their adapted form. So first we're just gonna spawn a primitive mob, and we're just gonna make him kill a bunch of zombies until he gains enough experience. So we're just gonna keep making him beat up the zombie, and we'll be right back. Alright, so here he is. He has adapted and turned into this thing, and if you didn't see, he was a community post. So this is why I chose him as the first mob to do. And now that we have this adapted parasite, you'll notice some tentacle-like things that you'll see across many types of parasites. And holy frick, why is it pooping? Alright, but anyway, what this does is, if you cut it off, it actually stops them from adapting. So I'm just gonna cut it off with a bow and arrow. So let's actually shoot it off. So we're just gonna shoot them just so you guys can see he's adapting. But we're gonna shoot off his tentacle right here, and it should fall off eventually. And now there's not gonna be any more red particles once you shoot him. So that means he stops adapting. And also he's actually bleeding out, and sometimes they'll actually take damage from bleeding out whatever blood they actually have. And by the way, you can actually kill the tendrils right there. And now we're just gonna cut off another tendril and make him angry. So we're just gonna cut it off, and now he's more powerful that he's angry. So we're just gonna run into a building. Yeah, I made an entrance just in case. And by the way, here's something else he can do. They can actually break windows once they're angry enough. So he's breaking through, and I'm just gonna run away. And I almost forgot something about the adapted parasites, and that is they actually adapt to 3 types of damage, and other parasites will adapt to different amounts, and the max that I've seen in this mod is 5, so that is freaking insane. So now we can finally fight the primitive mobs and their adapted forms. So the first guy up is the Reeker. So this is the Reeker, and this is its weak variant, by the way, because if you saw the other brown variant. Those are actually the strongest. But now here is what he could do. So first off, he gives you poison, and you will see a new effect called fear. So fear means that you sometimes can't shoot. So here we go. So I can't actually shoot because I'm panicking, and sometimes you'll miss your flint and steel too because yeah, you're panicking. And now I'm running at full speed just so you guys can see that they actually have an attack where they just run at you. So yeah, that's actually a little bit terrifying. So now here we have the adapted Reeker. And dude, are you gonna dude, are you even, holy frick, okay, yeah, apparently you just had a brain fart. So this guy can actually do better dashes than the other one. So here we go. Just look at how fast this dude is. And by the way, it does give you worse poison. So here we go. So we have poison too for 5 seconds. And just look at him go. Alright, so I may have forgotten to mention how much health these guys actually have. And plus their adaptation, they're almost invincible. As you can see from all the deaths I had already. With enchanted golden apples. The next parasite we have is the bolster. So this guy is really slow and he can barely damage you. So let's just let him hit me and absolutely nothing. He can't really do much, but he can heal other parasites. So we're just gonna place down a few parasites. So we're just gonna place down the sheep, place down the player, and now we're just gonna hit them with our sword. So here we go. So the sheep is almost dead, and this guy is almost dead. Actually, he's not almost dead. So we're just gonna actually kill the sheep because it's a little bit too fast, and let it heal this guy. So let's just wait until he gives him a few buffs. So here we go. So he has begun healing because of the bolster right there. So here we go. It's gonna start healing. And yeah, that's pretty much what it does. And now here we have its adapted form, which is this terrifying guy. Just look at how freaking horrifying. And yeah, it does give me a little bit of shivers. But now I'm going to show you what it does. So this one is the exact same thing, although it's just better at its job. And it can also do an AEO attack. Actually, that's called AOE. So we're just going to spawn in a few zombies over here. And he can kill them from really far away range. Just look at how many he can kill at the same time. Yeah, that guy is freaking insane. And yeah, I think these are actually his knives. I'm glad I didn't actually fight him. The next parasite we have is the long arms. So here we go. So this is the guy. So he just walks at you whilst trying to slap you in the face. And just look at that jaw. That jaw looks freaking terrifying. Okay, you know what? I should probably stop saying terrifying so much. And by the way, this guy does have an AOE attack, and yeah, I know I sometimes say it wrong, but now we're just gonna attack him because now that's when he actually does something. So the more you hit him, the more powerful he becomes. So he's gonna take a little bit less damage, and he's also gonna damage you a lot more, but you can't really see it because this is its pathetic weak versions with pathetically weak arms and pathetically weak jaws. So here's the adapted version. So yes, this one does have tentacles, and this one actually does slap you a lot stronger than the other one, and it actually has a better jaw. So yeah, it's a lot better in general. Holy frick, okay. Yeah, I kind of forgot about it being more powerful. So we're just gonna hit him a little bit, and he shall take a little bit less damage. So yes, this guy does adapt much faster, and he will almost become invincible at some point. Yeah, I fought him with an invincibility potion, which means a lot of resistance. So we're just gonna keep hitting him, and now he barely takes any damage, and he's almost killed me even with an enchanted golden apple. The next parasite we have is the Manducator. So this guy isn't really that quick, and he also doesn't really do much unless you bring him into the dark. So we're just gonna kill this one just because he's a minor inconvenience. And there we go. Now we're just gonna walk in here where it's darker, and that should make him actually turn invisible, which is a little bit more dangerous. So we're just gonna spawn this guy over here and just take a bunch of damage until he decides to go invisible. So I'm just gonna wait here until he actually decides to. Alright, so he has gone invisible, and now he's gonna do double damage. Holy frick, okay, yeah, I didn't realize he would actually go through the back. So yeah, you better be careful because you'll never know from where he's gonna attack once he's invisible. And just so you guys have a better view, here's the adapted version without it being in the dark. Just look at it, how terrifying it is. And also, I don't know if that is bone on it. If it is bone, that is actually completely horrifying. Alright, so he has released his invisibility particles, and this guy should do it a tiny bit faster, but I'm really not sure, so we're just gonna stay in here with him trying to kill us, and hopefully he turns invisible. So he has gone invisible, and that took him longer than I expected. Holy frick, why aren't they scaring me if I already expect him to be invisible? And yeah, he has actually destroyed this entire grocery store. The next parasite we have is the Summoner, and you can probably already tell what it does. So this guy actually summons other creatures, so we're just gonna wait for him to summon the Rupters. So we're just gonna wait and attack him and just play along with this game. So we're just gonna keep hitting him, and now he will let out a terrifying screech and start laying eggs for some reason. So yeah, this guy looks a little bit derpy actually. What am I even talking about? It looks freaking horrifying, and we're just gonna murder it. And now here we have the adapted Summoner, and just look at this guy. This guy looks freaking insane, and we're just gonna eat it. And why I always say insane for everything, but really, just look at the thing. And now it's gonna actually summon even scarier mobs. So here we have an assimilated mob that just hatched right here. We're just gonna murder it. And this guy also has an AoE attack, so that means he actually attacks multiple mobs at the same time. And just look at how fast the infection spreads through this guy. The next primitive parasite we have is the yellow eye, and you may be wondering why I'm at the airport, and that is because this is actually a flying mob, and I also forgot to put it on easy. So we're just gonna let him start flying, and just look at him, and he eventually starts shooting some projectiles at you. So let's just wait for him to shoot it. And by the way, this will actually start disintegrating your armor, so you better be careful. Dude, stop attacking me. So the only way you can actually handle them is bow and arrow, but the only downside is you will sometimes not shoot because you're panicky, which is the worst thing that could ever happen when you're fighting one of these parasites. So now here we have the adapted yellow eye, and this guy has ribs, and he'll lightly tap you on the shoulders, which will actually hurt you a lot. And holy frick, okay, yeah, I should probably eat the golden apple. And by the way, yeah, sometimes when eating, you're actually gonna panic and not eat, and this guy will disintegrate your armor much faster. But since he's doing melee attacks with his ribs, you can actually kill him since he's gonna be really close to you. And here we go. Our next primitive parasite is the arachnid. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but it's this guy right here. Just look at how he wiggles when he's walking, and I don't know why am I laughing like if it was cute. No, that is freaking terrifying. And now we're just gonna drink a potion of swiftness because he doesn't just do melee attacks. And holy frick, I'm panicking too hard. I can't drink this. So here we go. So we're just gonna walk at full speed, going backwards, and he should eventually use his spider web right there. 2 reels is in, and holy frick, what just came out of my mouth? So yeah, this guy isn't really too powerful when it comes to his spider webs. You can easily escape it, but we're just gonna kill him and go to the adapted version. Now, here is the adapted version. So just look at it. I would probably freak out if I saw this in a dark alley, and wait, why would I even see him in a dark alley? So we're just gonna drink this potion, and you'll see that his spider webs are much better. So we're just gonna keep running. Holy frick, yeah, so it does pull you in much faster, which makes it, holy frick, why I hate spiders. I really do hate spiders, and this makes me hate them even more. So now that we're done with the primitive parasites and their adapted forms, we're gonna move on to the pure parasites. So these aren't spawned in like the other ones, and are actually summoned by something called the Beckon, which I'll cover later on. And most of these are gonna be summoned by the stage 3 Beckon, but I'll tell you if it is otherwise. And something very important you should know is they actually can adapt to 4 types of damage, which makes them a little bit more terrifying. But now we're just gonna spawn the Vigilante, and this guy will usually not move from the Beckon once it's protecting it, but in this case he's gonna move a little bit because there's no beacon around him. And now he's gonna launch that particle thing that just gives you a lot of poison. So yeah, that's basically all it does. It doesn't really do much. And yeah, if you were wondering, it does have melee attacks if you get way too close to it, and it'll just eat you every once in a while. The next pure parasite we have is the Warden, and this Warden isn't actually as scary as the, okay, you know what, yeah, it is scarier than the one being added to next thanks to Minecraft, but I think the darkness just makes it a little bit... Holy frick, okay, I forgot he could do that. So yeah, sometimes he will dash at you like that, but just look at him wiggling his arms, and yeah, apparently he just covers his face once he starts running at you. It's like, peekaboo, now you're gonna die. Okay, you know what? I don't even know what I'm talking about, so we're just gonna hide behind here. Alright, so yeah, I did die, but this guy also has an AoE attack, so we're just gonna make him use it, even though it's not really necessary. But just look at the beast go. He just swings his arms out, and that's enough to launch them. The next pure parasite we have is the Overseer, and just look at this mouth. It just looks so weird. And also, we're just gonna let it fly a little bit, so we're just gonna go into creative, and now he's gonna be floating a bit, and now he's gonna come back. So just look at it. He can fly. I don't think that thing should be able to fly, but it's so majestic. It's coming from the heavens. Holy frick, that was one of his explosives. Now we're just gonna keep fighting him until he starts shooting some biomass, and the biomass will summon some Rupters, so you better be careful, and sometimes he'll personally attack you whenever he feels like it. So the next parasite we have is the Grunt, and these guys only spawn in the Parasite Biome, and yes, I'm gonna show you the Parasite Biome later on, but anyway, let's just spawn this guy in, and let's actually drink a potion of swiftness before we do that. So here we're just gonna spawn him in, and now we're just gonna go backwards at full speed. You know what? Let's actually turn the camera around and run like this. Alright, so he's gonna keep chasing me, and eventually he's gonna do his Hulk jump. So this is actually the little brother of the next person you're about to see, and just look at it. It looks so awesome. Actually, you know what? It's one of the more pathetic ones, but we're just gonna murder it, and that's a little bit mean. All of these are awesome. The next pure parasite we have is the Marauder, and now we're just gonna spawn him in, and he's this big boy right here. Just look at how freaking large those arms are. I mean long, and we're just gonna keep running. So just look at it, and eventually it's gonna do a Hulk jump just like the little brother. So let's just let it chase us, and there we go. So that is his Hulk jump, and by the way, he will break absolutely everything to get straight to you. And yeah, that's a little bit scary. Oh no. Okay, you know what? I should have eaten the golden apple before that. But anyway, we're just gonna probably respawn later. And now here's another ability. So this guy has the has an AoE attack. And yes, I'm just panicking, so we're just gonna go straight down. And yes, just look at him. You know what? No, I don't even care. Just look at how freaking epic this guy is. He just literally breaks everything to try and get to you. So we're just gonna go through the door, and there's no escaping him. Nothing will allow him to stop it. You know what? I'm just gonna stop. Also, if you haven't already been able to tell, this is one of my favorite parasites, and just look at the destruction these guys leave behind. So yes, you'll never be safe in your base, and this is also probably a really efficient way to go mining, except it's the most dangerous and stupid idea that has ever existed. Just don't use them for mining, please. And the last pure parasite we have is the Light Bomber. So he's just gonna fly into the air and eventually drop one of its flesh bombs. And I know it sounds weird to say flesh bombs, but that's literally what they are. And they won't actually blow anything up if it's on a hard surface, except if it's on concrete or grass, which I'm gonna show you right now. And holy frick, something I didn't realize was these guys actually make your hearts go down. So just look at me, my hearts are slowly getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I actually mean that I'm having less and less hearts. So let's run away, and your hearts should be restored after you get away from it for a while. Alright, so I have moved to another area where there's a lot of grass, and hopefully this time he actually blows it up, because yeah, there we go. So I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew that it actually blew stuff up, but apparently you can't go through cobblestone or any other harder blocks, so you're pretty much safe if you're inside your house. And also, let's test if it actually destroys wood. Alright, so he just dropped the bomb on the wooden roof, and then we're just gonna see. Holy frick, okay, so yeah, you're no longer safe if you have a wooden house. You actually have to have a house that's made of whatever I just told you earlier. And I'm sorry for being so confused. There's absolutely no information about that guy on the wiki, and yes, I'm gonna link you to the wiki in the description below. So let's move on to the Inborn Parasites, which are also known as the miscellaneous parasites. And these parasites don't adapt at all, and we're just gonna spawn our first one, which is the Assimilated Big Spider. And these guys are summoned by stage 2 and 3 beacons, and eventually they'll start spawning in naturally. So we're just gonna put one in, and here we go. So just look at him. So he's just gonna come at me, and they're pathetically weak since they have the adaptation, so they're really easy to kill. And now let's let it use its special attack, which is shooting spider web. So we're just gonna wait for it to actually shoot a spider web once we're too far. And dude. Okay, so here we go. So he's gonna try to trap you in its spider webs because it shoots out liquid spider webs. And also these spider webs are temporary, so they're not gonna last forever. The next parasite we have is the host. So these guys are technically assimilated mobs, so sometimes they'll spawn naturally, and sometimes they'll spawn from a stage 2 Beckon. And now let's spawn him in. So he'll usually be underground, and you'll actually see him move around with the particles down there, and we're just gonna murder all of these. So this is what they usually do, and then they throw some explosives. Just look at those grenades. And yeah, like the flying carrier, I bet the light bomber. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But just look at that guy. He's filled with, a lot of bones everywhere. And now he's gonna start sinking again because he has noticed that he has been threatened. And we're just gonna wait for him to rise. And now let's murder him. And yep, that was my overpowered sword. I'm sorry. And something interesting you should know about the host is once they cross some blocks, they're hot, like the magma blocks, he'll start taking some damage. So let's just wait until he decides to move. So he's gonna start moving around and just hear him take damage. And also look at the numbers. And they're all gonna take damage because they spawned on the magma blocks. The next parasite we have is the heavy carrier. And this guy is spawned by stage 3 Beckon. So we're just gonna spawn one in, and he's gonna disappear because we forgot to put it on easy. And now he's just gonna walk towards us. And he looks freaking disgusting. Just look at that thing. And I don't even know how it's even walking. Just look at those pathetic legs. But now we're just gonna let him explode in front of us. And he's gonna release a bunch of parasites. And he's also gonna release some poison. So yeah, it's really, really scary once they actually blow up. And now, if you don't want the heavy carrier to explode, you just have to set them on fire and kill him with fire. So we're just gonna try and set him on fire, which is a little bit difficult because he actually tries to avoid it. So we're just gonna set him on fire, and there we go. So eventually, once he dies, he's not gonna release any of the parasites he has inside of him. Alright, so he has died, and he didn't release any parasites, so this is the best way to handle him. And here's something you should be aware of. If you actually do kill him, he'll also explode. And the last inborn parasite we have is the flying carrier. So these guys are spawned by stage 2 Beckons, and they just fly around. So they're just like the other one, except they just have some small wings. Yeah, those are probably just leaves. And holy frick, okay, yeah. I didn't expect them to just explode immediately while I was talking. So yeah, I'm sorry if I just screamed into microphone. So since these guys are really hard to set on fire, I would recommend fighting them with a flame bow. So here we go. So he just died, and he didn't release any of the parasites. And the next parasites we have are the Deterrent Parasites. So these parasites usually don't move, and they spawn around Beckons. So we're first gonna spawn in the kyphosis. And yes, apparently that's a back disease, but it's the name of this guy too. So yeah, because it's actually a little bit curved. Apparently it means curved back. So yeah, this guy's a disease. Actually, parasites are actually disease. So this guy just basically does massive knockback by just knocking itself into you. Yeah, just look at him stab it. It's like ice worm from some knock-and-blows here. But yeah, that's basically all it does. It just eats you. So you better fight it from a distance. And by the way, the Deterrent Parasites can adapt to 2 types of damages. And the final Deterrent Parasite we have is the Sentry. So this guy just shoots some poison projectiles. So just look at him. So he looks freaking okay, I don't know. He looks like some sort of parasitic flower. And I guess he actually is, since he's not moving at all. But let's just let him hit us. So this will actually start disintegrating your armor. So each time it hits us, it's gonna, holy frick, yeah, it does more damage than I imagined. So I'm just gonna delete this guy and just listen to him. He sounds so terrifying. Even though he's just immobile, that noise alone makes me want to just run away. So we have finally made it to the Beckons, and these guys are part of the reinforcement system. So there's a small chance that these guys will spawn in once you've killed enough parasites. And the first one to spawn in is the stage 1 Beckon. So we're just gonna spawn in a bunch of parasites, and we're just gonna kill a lot of them until it actually spawns in. So here we go. That was really quickly. So you heard that Taco Bell bell, and now we have the stage 1 Beckon. So let me clear clear out all of these parasites. So here we have the stage 1 Beckon. So these guys can only summon Rupters, and they can only adapt to one type of damage. So we're just gonna shoot it. And you know what? We're not gonna shoot it. We're just gonna wait until it actually starts spawning things. Alright, so I got started spawning things, and I thought that I actually disabled something, but we're just gonna fight all of these guys. Apparently, it just had a small stroke. And something you should know about the Beckons is if they're on grass or dirt, they'll start spreading an infection. So this isn't the Parasite Biome, but it's something really similar since it'll start replacing all the grass, it'll start replacing the dirt, and even replacing the trees. And it has started the process. So we're just gonna wait until it grows up. But one more thing you should know is these Beckons can spawn from residue. So residue is the poop-like substance some parasites poop out. You may have seen it earlier while I was showcasing the other parasite. And yeah, actually, that's pretty disgusting. So let's just start the time lapse. Alright, so it has finally grown up, and yeah, it kind of took a lot of the screen up. I didn't know it would take up that much of the screen, but now, just look at the thing, and okay, yeah, press the wrong button. So yeah, it finally grew up after like 10 minutes, I'm not joking. Yeah, you probably didn't see the sun move because I actually paused the sun, but anyway, let's actually fight this thing. And before we get close to that thing, it'll only grow up once you're at phase 3. So if you're not at phase 3, you'll probably not see it grow up, but it's a little bit terrifying after they grow up because they'll get more and more powerful. So we're just gonna go into survival, and it should start spawning in some Rupters, Assimilated Mobs, and whatever other mobs I mentioned earlier. So dude, start spitting your things. Okay, yeah, so apparently it's just gonna wait a while because all of these are having strokes for some reason. So here we go, guys. Finally started laying these eggs, and you're gonna let go of assimilated mobs. So here we have some assimilated mobs. We have the spider, which brings chills a little bit. We're just gonna kill the spider. We're just gonna kill everything. And now we're just gonna wait for it to actually keep growing up. So yeah, it's a little bit harder to speak once you're actually starting to fight stuff. We're just gonna get rid of this guy, and we're probably just gonna stop and wait for it to... Holy frick, that was actually terrifying. So you know what, I'm just gonna go back into creative. So here's probably another time lapse, or I may just jump straight to the 3rd stage. But just look at the tree in the background. It has finally started replacing the trees. Alright, so if there was a time lapse, I kind of stopped it early because now the Beckons will start bringing even more Beckons because the infection is starting to spread. So you know what, I've lost all patience for it to grow up. If I wait another 30 minutes, I'm gonna eat myself out the window. But before we get any closer to it, it will summon Rupters, it'll summon assimilated mobs, and it also summon primitive mobs and any other mobs that I mentioned earlier. So in a while, it's gonna start laying some eggs. And these eggs are much bigger, so that means that they're gonna spawn much bigger parasites. Just look at it. They're all running towards me, and that is terrifying. And I'm just gonna protect myself because, yeah, I'm gonna die immediately. And something I didn't mention earlier is these actually have a cooldown, so they won't just keep shooting and shooting non-stop. They'll actually take a break, and so there is one of them. So there's the vigilante. And see, it won't actually move away from the beacon. It'll stay right next to beacon. It just murdered its friend. That is hilarious. Actually, it murdered one of its friends. So here we have the final Beckon, the king of all parasites, the stage 4 Beckon. And just look at this beast. This thing looks freaking awesome. And yep, it's summoning lightning because it can actually adapt to primitive mobs. So that makes it really awesome. And by the way, this is considered the boss since it's the most powerful parasite. And Jonathan, come over here. So yep, I've made Jonathan invincible. And if you don't remember Jonathan, he's my brother. Yeah. So he's gonna go straight towards it, and he's gonna show you one of its abilities. So he'll start summoning other Beckons. And hello, dude. Are you responding?
Is he mentally broken?
All right, so just as you say that, Jonathan, so it'll start summoning other Beckons so they can do the work for it. So, yep, they're doing all the dirty work. And Jonathan, please don't kill them. Let them actually start spawning things. I just want the primitive parasites, Jonathan. Stop killing it. Holy frick, I just realized how powerful this thing is. So it can turn assimilated mobs into primitive parasites and from there adapt them, which is freaking insane. All right, so they have been struck by lightning. So it has been evolved. And yep, he did it right as I was about to kill it. So I think he already knew what was happening. Alright, so it has also evolved in front of me. And this guy has also evolved in front of me. So yep, apparently threatening them did work. Alright, so this is the final ability I was going to show you. And that is the ability to summon nodes. So they will only do this during phase 5. And this is what creates the Parasite Biome. So everything you see in red will be marked for transformation into the Parasite Biome. And just look at it starting to start the process, and just look at how this is spreading. So this is the parasitic dirt, and it's slowly gonna keep spreading in all the red area. And once everything outside the red area isn't gonna be affected, so we're just gonna go down here, and here is the parasitic biome core. And I'm sorry, I'm really bad at explaining this. And also this does give the parasites some buffs, so it's gonna make them super overpowered. And I'm gonna speed up the process a little bit, but here's how it spreads and what it starts doing. So yep, it starts summoning new plants, it starts killing the trees, and it starts making them into parasitic trees, which is awesome. Just look at the transformation. And I'm just gonna be back in a few seconds, and there we go. So it has summoned the tree, and now I'm just gonna bring the random tick speed back to normal, and we're just gonna destroy this. So once you actually destroy this, it'll stop expanding, so everything in red will still keep being transformed, but everything else should be okay, and nothing should be affected ever again unless it summons another one. And yep, these guys do actually summon a lot of them. By the way, something you should keep in mind is when a stage 4 Beckon is underground, sometimes they'll spawn the node underground, so you better be careful if one ever does spawn underground, or if you bury it like I did. Alright, so I let the Parasite Biome expand, and this is as far as it expands. And just look at this place. So it starts replacing the trees, it starts adding some creepy parasite based plants, and it just makes an entire mess. You know what, I think you get the idea. So we're just gonna go in here and just look at the amount of parasites just spawning absolutely everywhere. This is actually the scariest thing that could ever happen. Just look at this town. This town used to look beautiful, even if it was just slightly deserted and had a lot of trees around. It looked a lot better than this. Just look at all these plants. Look at this. This is actually a little bit disgusting. Just look, it has teeth. Yeah, that is actually terrifying. You can actually fall here, but apparently it's not going to digest you or anything. And there's also some 3D plants, and yeah, some of the mobs that were here before, but they're probably going to get infected soon. And you also get this reddish water, which starts spreading onto the land, and you'll get this wetness. So yeah, I don't know how to describe wetness. So yeah, that is parasitic mud. We have the parasitic dirt. We also have these strange trees, and let me get to one of the other trees. So here we have one of the trees. We have these things hanging down. So we have these thin boy trees. And now I'm just gonna search for the last one that I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so here we have it. So this is the last plant that I was gonna show you. And it's actually go inside because I haven't been inside. What the frick is this? Oh, so yeah, it does have a weird liquid, and let's actually go into survival to see what happens, because I haven't actually tried this. Oh, okay, so apparently it doesn't actually harm you. It's just a pod filled with some strange liquid. Please do not drink any liquid that you just see. This actually looks like pee for some reason. Also, yep, it does transform the biome all the way to bedrock, and just look at the bridge. So since it was made of stone, now the bridge is a parasite, which is, oh, actually that is scarier than I imagined. And here it is. So I'm just gonna dig straight down, and you're gonna see that even at the bottom of the world, there's still parasite based blocks. So except the ores don't actually change, and there's also some mud, and we're just gonna keep digging down, and here we have reached bedrock. So yep, the infection is pretty bad, so I know that I should probably move on. But here's other types of incomplete forms. So these used to be chickens, and now they're these tiny abominations. box. So they look a little bit, they actually look a little bit derpy, but the most terrifying things. And now you may think that the biome is permanently like this, but it's not. You can actually craft something to turn this back to normal. So currently it is the Parasite Biome, but once you place this down, it'll be restored to its original biome. So the way you craft this Biome Purifier is with 2 diamonds and 5 cobblestones. So we're just going to place this down, and now we're just going to right click it with our empty hand, and we're just going to see it evaporate, and now the sky has turned back to normal, normal-ish. It didn't really turn back completely, and also, if you're seeing that it's actually not spreading, it's because sometimes it just needs a while to update. So here it is. So it has started updating, and once you place some blocks, you can see the update happen, because yeah, sometimes it does get stuck. And also, you have to make sure that you actually clear out all the nodes, or else this doesn't actually work. And also, we're just going to place one near the water, and we're just going to make it vaporize, and now the water has been cured. And we're also just going to update the blocks right here, or relog in, and that should spread the cure. So we're just going to go down here, spread it a little bit more, and now it is back to normal. And you should also be aware that none of the parasite-based blocks are gonna leave, but you can actually put your grass blocks back on, and holy frick, this guy is so creepy. So we have finally made it to the ancient parasites. So these parasites will be able to adapt to 5 types of damages, and also since this mod is a work in progress, currently the summoning system isn't working in the other versions of this mod, so I went back to previous version where the summoning does actually happen. So we're just gonna place down some stage 3 Beckons, and we're just gonna kill a few until one of them decides to spawn the boss. So we're just gonna kill these guys, and yes, they used to be a lot easier to kill, so we're just gonna keep killing these guys until we get a boss. Alright, so we have finally gotten the boss, and yes, this is one of the work in progress bosses, and it's not the one I wanted, so I'm just gonna hit them a few more times just so you guys can see that they can summon different bosses. Alright, so one of them decided to summon this boss, which is the first one we're gonna fight once we go back to the normal version. I mean newer version. Alright, so we can finally fight the ancient parasites, and the first ancient parasite we're gonna fight is the ancient dreadnought, which is the flying one. And just look at this guy. This guy looks horrifying, and this is probably gonna make me pee my pants, but we're just gonna let it hit us, and we have been withered because of his projectiles, and eventually he'll start roaring, which means that he's gonna start summoning pods that will bring in Rupters and also grunts sometimes. Just look at them explode, and yes, he does have a lot of knockback, and there's a bunch of things attacking me, so yeah, I'm gonna probably be a little bit distracted because there's a lot going on, but let's shoot him once, just so you guys can see what other things happen. So he'll eventually start dropping his tentacles once you do enough damage, and they should usually spawn in buglins once they have like little white clouds, but in this version apparently it's still not working correctly, so we're just gonna keep fighting these guys until he actually decides to summon the grunt. Oh, there we go. So he has finally decided to bring in the grunts, and they're just gonna start running. And also, yes, the pods do bring in some poison. And yes, I don't know why I got so confused. So now you'll see that he has no tentacles. So now he doesn't look as terrifying. He just looks like a tiny parasite jet. I don't know what I'm even talking about. And also, you should have eaten the golden apple, but let's just kill this guy just so we can finish off this section. Also, I don't care that this is cheating. I need a super powered weapon just so this showcase won't take so long. So now we have finally defeated him, and just like with the other parasites, you can just kill the tentacles if you want. And by the way, this is what I was talking about. So this cloud means the buglins are gonna start spawning, but since this is a newer version, it's a work in progress again, although it does work in the previous version, just in case you guys were curious. The next boss we have is the ancient overlord. So currently this guy doesn't do much, but he just looks freaking terrifying, and he just hit me with one of his projectiles, so I kind of forgot what the projectiles do, but they actually do hurt you. So yep, they're gonna start hurting me, and that's pretty much all it does. And once you get close, he'll start stomping you. So yep, this doesn't really do much for now. Eventually it probably is gonna have a lot of moves and probably be just as awesome as the ancient dreadnought, because this guy's pathetic. Hey bro, you pathetic. I'm not gonna kill you. And also, once you hit him, he doesn't drop any tentacles or anything. He just drops straight to the ground. Also, yeah, apparently some of the bosses do explode and leave some poison behind. So now let's move on to the items. And the first items we're gonna cover are the weapons. So all of these weapons right here are creative only, but all of these other weapons are craftable. And yes, they're eventually gonna be added, but let's go over the crafting recipes for these two. So first, we're just gonna start off with the living scythe. So the living scythe is crafted with 2 living scythe handles, which are crafted with 3 sticks, 2 leather, and 2 infected flesh. And then we have the living scythe head, which is crafted with 3 long armor fragment. Yes, that's difficult to pronounce. 1 reeker fang, and 2 infected flesh. And then 1 living scythe core, which is crafted with 1 summoner core, 2 long arm fragments, and 2 infected flesh. Then we have the blade, which is crafted with 2 reeker fangs, 2 infected flesh, and 2 long arm armor fragments. And finally, we have the living scythe back, which is crafted with 3 long arm armor fragments, 1 infected flesh, and 1 stick. And we finally have this thing right here. So just look at how epic this thing is. And by the way, this has a 0.8 attack speed and 10 attack damage. So yes, it has more than Nether. Actually, I think it does, but let's check with the diamond one, since yeah, that's the only one we have in 1.12. So yeah, it's more powerful than a diamond weapon. Next, we have the living great bow. So this is crafted with 1 living great bow core, which is crafted with 3 yellow eye bones, 2 long arm armor fragments, and 1 infected flesh. And then we have these 2 parts. So these are living great bow strings, which are crafted with 4 strings and 3 infected flesh, and you only need 2 of these. And then you have your living great bow upper limbs, and you need 2 of these, and they're crafted with 3 sticks, 1 infected flesh, and 2 long arm armor fragments. And then we only have a living great bow grip, which is crafted with 2 reeker fangs, 2 leather, 2 infected flesh, and 1 stick. And this is how it looks. So we're just gonna go zoom out, and here we go. So it looks awesome, actually. And wait, what am I even? Okay, you know what? Yeah, I don't know why I'm spending so much time for this bow. Also, for size comparison, here it is. So yeah, the other one is more awesome than this one. And I also have no information on the damage it does, so you may need to test that out. Next up, we have the living great axe. So this is how we look with the living great axe. So it has an attack speed of 0.8, and it has an attack damage of 11. Next, we have the sentient great axe. And just look at how massive this thing is. It's bigger than my body. And what it does is, it does 21 attack damage. And it has a 0.8 attack speed. This thing is freaking insane. Next, we have the sentient scythe. And this thing is also massive. Just look at how big it is. It can cut like 3 people in half with no problem whatsoever. And the last weapon we have is the sentient great bow. We're just gonna zoom out, and yes, this thing is also massive. Apparently, absolutely every one of the sentient weapons are massive. And let's just actually shoot this one. So we're just gonna shoot, and apparently it travels really, really far. Actually, no, I think it just travels a lot faster. But that's pretty much it when it comes to the weapons. Next, we have the immalleable potion, and currently there's absolutely no recipe, so it's creative only, and it only lasts for 2 minutes. So we're just gonna splash this guy, and it should make him not adapt anymore. So now he will no longer adapt to anything. So we're just gonna hit him with the scythe, and absolutely no adaptation. We're gonna hit him with the great bow, and no adaptation either. So this guy's not gonna adapt to absolutely anything for 2 minutes. Now let's move on to the next item, which is the dirty clock. So this dirty clock is crafted with 1 clock and 4 infected flesh. And now if you right click, it should show you on which phase you are on. So here we are at phase 5, and that's pretty much all it does. And just so you guys get a better idea, I'm just gonna use get phase, and it should show us how many points it has. So currently it has a lot of points. That's like 20 million. So keep track track of those numbers, we're just gonna place this. And yes, these things do have a crafting recipe. So it's 6 cobblestone and then 2 frail pieces. So we're just gonna place this down and then right click on it. We're empty hand. And also I'm just gonna get the phase. So here we have the phase. Now we're just gonna right click on it and the points have been reduced. So let's get the phase again. And yep, it hasn't gone down that much because that is the weakest one. So we're just gonna go straight to the most powerful one, which is the concentrated version. So this is crafted with 6 cobblestone and 2 essential segments. And yes, I did cover the item drop, so I'm sorry, I don't really have information on how to get them, but we're just gonna place this down, right click on it, and now the points have been reduced. So let's go, and we have reduced it by about 1 million, which is insane. And you also have creative only ones, which are much higher levels. So here we have the concentrated plus and the concentrated plus. So we're just gonna place this one down, and let's see how much it got rid of. So we are phase 2 with 2 points. So that thing is the most freaking insane, overpowered thing to ever exist. Alright, so let's just end off the video here. Holy frick, are they destroying the entire city? Oh, they're not even chasing anything. They're just destroying absolutely everything. And holy frick, of course it had to be Horsican. No wonder they're destroying absolutely everything. You know what? I'm just gonna ask him what the frick is going on. Finally, I got through the door. Hey, Horsican, were you the one that made the parasites start attacking everything randomly? Because they seem to be destroying the entire city for absolutely no reason.
Yep, I trained them.
Horsican, how the frick did you train them? I thought they were freaking untrainable. They hate absolutely everything that isn't a parasite.
I'm just great with evil mobs.
Horsican, you know something? You sometimes scare me, but you know what? I can't complain because I really love destruction. Also, before I leave, how the frick did you get all of these parts to make this building fly?
I disassembled a bunch of planes.
Of course you did, Horsican. But at least we can still get home because we have this flying building right here. Anyway, that was it for today's mod showcase. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this showcase. I really put a lot of effort into this. And I think I put a lot more effort than I really needed to. Because this has taken me almost a month if you haven't noticed. And yeah, I tried to get absolutely every single detail. But eventually this mod is going to update. And there's going to be a lot more. So hopefully I get to revisit this mod because this has been one of my favorite mods. But anyway, I'm just gonna stop talking, so don't forget to burn that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you happen to be enjoying my content. Let's try to get to 20 likes on this video, or else the parasites are gonna get me in my sleep. And also don't forget to have an awesome day or night, and see you all later. Bye!